Okay, so guys, second module, which is accidental and sickness. It is a very, very important module. Why? Because accidental and sickness module make sure that it's the living benefit that we get paid. Life insurance is something that comes into picture when somebody is dead. Then the benefits come into picture. Yes, there's money in that plan that you can use during your lifetime, but accidental and sickness insurances are the most utilized insurances in this North America, including Canada and US. Why? I will tell you, there are few names very important. So number one type of accidental and sickness insurance is disability insurance. This is a type of insurance, right? We'll talk deep down about these things. Second type of accidental and sickness insurance is critical illness insurance. Okay. Third type is extended healthcare insurance. We'll talk about what extended healthcare insurance is. And the fourth type is long-term care insurance, right? Long-term care insurance. And another type is accidental death and dismemberment insurance. Okay, so these are the five type of insurances that comes under the spectrum of this module: accidental and sickness, right? I hope that you have noted down the name. By the way, sometime examiner ask a question and give you an option of terminal illness insurance. There is no such thing as terminal illness insurance. What is a terminal illness? If I get diagnosed with a cancer in last stage and doctor tells me I only have a month to live, then that means I'm terminally ill. I can pass away anytime and I cannot get any insurance. So whenever you see an option into an exam of accidental and sickness that says terminal insurance, simply stay away from that choice. There is no such thing as terminal illness insurance, right? It's just there to confuse you, because critical illness and terminal illness, pretty similar words. So sometimes they put this to confuse, but there is no such thing as terminal illness. Sounds good? All right. Now, before we go and learn about these insurances, I love the chapter one today. Honestly, while reading the book today about this chapter, I get to know if any person is licensed and he hasn't gone through this chapter number one, he will never understood how to do proper planning and proper budgeting for the client. You might not be asked any question from this chapter, but I would still say this is one of the most important chapter of this module. Why? Because I was reading through this, and this is some of the stuff I do with my clients when I sit down with them. And in first whole year, I have no idea whether I need to talk something from this chapter as well with my clients. But today I was going over, so I want to go over this chapter. Although chances that they will ask question from this chapter is not much. You might not be asked any question about this, but this is your foundation of accidental sickness, right? And I get excited about foundation all the time because that is where the security is. So first of all, let's talk about financial goals of individuals and their families. Now this is a topic: financial goals, how people dream about planning their finances, right? Financial goals. So number one financial goal that people have is wealth accumulation. Write down three goals that families have. One is wealth accumulation. Second one is emergency fund. Third one is retirement income needs. And fourth one is family needs. So any family or individual have these four financial goals. And then we will go over these goals one by one, that what comes under each one of these goals. Sounds good? So number one is emergency fund. I always talk to my clients when I sit down with them. I ask them, hey, how much your monthly expenses are, how much taxes are, and how much you are left up with savings. Let's say they tell me, okay, this is what is left over after my month's expenses, taxes. Then I tell them, do you have set up an emergency fund for you? They say, what does that mean? And I say emergency fund means at least whatever your monthly expense is. Let's say your month, how much is your monthly expense, Mr. Client? They tell, okay, our monthly expense is $3,000. I say, okay, then emergency fund means at least you have in your bank account 3 months to 6 months of your monthly expenses. That is known as emergency fund. So let's say the family says my monthly expense is 3,000, then minimum is $9,000 have to be in the bank account or at home as cash. So let's say tomorrow something happen, at least that 3 months of emergency fund will keep the family moving, right? So this is the first thing when I sit down with families, I make sure, guys, are you saving enough to accumulate that buffer? You know what is buffer? That is a cushion. Buffer is a cushion. If there's a hit, that buffer goes, that cushion saves you or saves the family. That is known as emergency fund. And I tell you, a lot of the families, they don't even have emergency fund. They don't even consider that. And then at the time of problem, now they are all over the place. Let me ask you a question. If family does not have an emergency fund, do you think they can think about future financial goals?
No.
No, right? So emergency fund is first need that a family has. Second is wealth accumulation, right? What is a wealth accumulation? Look, wealth accumulation is something whenever we earn income, we spend that income in expenses, right? Then we save some money. So the real wealth is the income which is on top of our monthly expenses, because that goes into savings. Fair enough. You cannot put the money that you use for regular expenses to saving. You cannot put that money to saving, but anything which is left over after your monthly expenses is actually the source that will determine 10, 20, 30 years from now how your future will look like. So that is the money. That is why people need to earn more money than their monthly expenses. Because if they only earn more money on top of their monthly expenses, only then they save some money for future needs, right? So wealth accumulation is something that is on top of emergency fund. Once that is taken care of, the money on top of your monthly expenses that you have, now you put that money to future needs so that this money grows for you over long term and take care of some of your short term and long term needs, because that money is the only money that you can use towards wealth accumulation. Sounds good? Okay, you did not get this point, Mary?
हाँ, दोबारा
ओके,
से।
मैं आपको ये बताता हूँ कि मान लो मेहरीन, आपका मंथली खर्चा $3,000 है, ठीक है, घर का चलाने का खर्चा। अब अगर आप $3,000 ही कमाती हो, तो आप क्या कोई पैसा सेव कर सकती हो?
नो।
कर ही नहीं सकती। तो दैट मीन्स आपको कम से कम 4-5 हजार कमाने की जरूरत है। तो 3,000 तो खर्चा होगा। तो ऊपर का जो पैसा बचेगा, उस पैसे से ही तो आप अपना फैमिली का फ्यूचर सिक्योर करोगी, नहीं तो आप लाइफ टाइम कैसे रहोगी पे चेक टू
Paycheck.
paycheck. So you need to make sure कि you bring home more money than your monthly expenses, क्योंकि more money को ही wealth accumulation के लिए आप plans में डाल सकते हो, expense वाले पैसे को तो नहीं डाल सकते ना।
ओके। तो नहीं, मुझे ये वाली चीज़ समझ में आ रही थी। ये जो ये वाला पॉइंट था ना, बेसिकली कि इमरजेंसी फंड, उसके
हम्म,
बाद वेल्थ एक्यूमुलेशन, यहाँ पे कन्फ्यूजन हो रही थी कि मतलब इसमें जो है अ, हम इमरजेंसी फंड का भी जैसे अगर अलग कर देते हैं फॉर
हम्म,
एग्ज़ाम्पल,
हम्म,
अगर कर पाते हैं फॉर
हम्म।
एग्ज़ाम्पल, ठीक है? तो उसके बाद मतलब ये जो वेल्थ एक्यूमुलेशन है वो किस तरह से वर्क कर रही है? क्योंकि हम तो उतना ही सेव कर पा रहे हैं ना कि अगर हमने वो इमरजेंसी फंड के कर दिए, तो हमारे मेरे लिहाज से वही वेल्थ एक्यूमुलेशन है कि भाई वो मैंने इमरजेंसी के लिए सेव किया हुआ है।
लुक, इमरजेंसी फंड तो मेरीन आप अपने पास ऐसी जगह पे रखोगे ना, जो पैसा दैट अ मनी दैट यू पुट इनटू इमरजेंसी फंड, यू आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड टू गेट ग्रोथ ऑन दैट मनी, दैट इज
हुँ, हुँ।
you need a feature on that money that anytime you want you can withdraw that. You know
ओके।
which financial service provides you that feature? Only your checking account.
हुँ,
Whenever you
हुँ।
want, put your card in, get the money out.
हुँ,
But
हुँ।
does your checking account give you any growth?
नो।
So with emergency fund, forget about growth, anything. That
हुँ,
is a money you only need one feature, when at a time of need you can withdraw. That is
ओके,
emergency fund, right? But
ठीक।
wealth accumulation is some what? You put some money, that money grows, then it grows, then it grows. So accumulate word tells you it grows, accumulates for you over the period of few years. So emergency fund is a different concept. Accumulation is a different concept. Yes, families need to have 3 months of money saved up for emergency fund. That is important. Once that is taken care of, extra money that you have, now you think about wealth accumulation. Sounds good?
हुँ, या।
Okay, good job. So next need is retirement income. What is the one thing that people are so casual about? I tell you, one thing is people are so casual about their insurances, and the second thing people are so casual about is their retirement. Unbelievably casual. They feel, people behave like they will never get old. People behave like retirement has nothing to do with them. They have, they have had that water that they will be here forever. But people, one thing that they ignore badly is retirement. I tell you, I'm going to read some lines and you will be agreeing with me. So why people need retirement income? There are different type of retirement income, by the way, people receive. Number one is government pension plan. What are those? CPP and old age security. This is a type of retirement income that people receive. Second type of employment income, some employers also offer their own pension plan. So on top of CPP and OAS, if you work for that employer that offers their separate plan, then you get some employer pension plan benefit as well. Then you can have your own private pension plan as well, which is registered retirement saving plan, RRSP. Anybody can open that private plan. That is also a source of retirement income. Then there is a non-registered investment plan. What is that non-registered investment plan? The universal life and whole life plan that I was just mentioning today, because that has cash value that you can withdraw in retirement. So this is also a retirement income plan for the people, right? And parents. Fifth, retirement income is inheritance. If you are a beneficiary of your parents, and let's say when you are in retirement zones, one of your parent passes away and leaves you inheritance income, that becomes also your retirement income, right? Part-time employment or self-employment. If you're still working part-time somewhere while you're retired, 66, 67, that can also be a source of retirement income for you. And lastly is liquidation of asset, your cash asset, the money sitting in your bank account. Liquid, whenever you hear the word liquid, what does that mean? That you can take that money out within seconds. If I ask you, is your home a liquid asset or non-liquid asset? Yes,
No,
Kiran?
Non-liquid, I guess.
non-liquid.
Non-liquid asset, because if you want to sell it today, you won't find buyer right now. It's a non-liquid. It might take month, by 2 months. But what is the best example of liquid asset? Cash. Cash in hand, cash at your home, cash in your checking account, and cash in your whole life policy is the most liquid asset available. All right. So these are the 7 income sources. Now in retirement. Now, some of these sources do not require the input like receiving any inheritance. You don't need to save any money towards that. You are just a beneficiary of some plan. Now, what happens if a disability or sickness or any economic downturn happens during your working life? I'm talking about which year? Working life years. If anything like disability, sickness happens, then that will stop your income. If you stop your income, do you think you will be able to continue in your retirement planning anymore? So then that means if you don't contribute into retirement planning, one of these income source will be gone for you. And now your retirement will look in trouble. So that is why it's important. This module talks about why it is really important to save your income from disability and critical illness, so that your income does not disappear during your working days, working life, so that you can continuously keep saving for your retirement. Sounds good? Okay. uh Now next and last one is family needs. Family needs is what? Family need is that the cost of basic living, I mean basic expenses, cost of basic expenses like your rent, like your mortgage, like your groceries, like your holidays, your trips. These are the family needs. Clothing. That's something that you need to go along as you grow, as you work, as you grow old. So this is known as family need. Now they say that it is very important that families generate income and set aside saving to meet these needs first. After emergency fund, this is also you need to take care, and this also includes children education. So children education is not investment. This is your basic family need, which is gonna come anyways. So when sometime I meet parents and they tell we are not saving for their kids, I say, what kind of parents are you? This is your family need. You need to save money. Why government pays you for your kids? Does government pay you for your own self? No, they pay you for your kids. Why? Because kids are part of your family needs. So you need to save tuition for your children education. So children plan that I was doing today is a compulsory plan. Parents needs to have those plans, right? Because that comes under the family need. That's not even an investment plan. Family need. What else? Like orthodontics, vacation. So set aside some money for these family needs, grocery expenses. Now, do you think you can make any client a budget without considering emergency fund, without considering accumulation wealth, without considering retirement income and family need? Do you think you can do the justice as a financial advisor to this family? You can never do it. That's why I love this chapter. When I was going through in the book, I said, wow, this chapter is something that I learned after 2 years what to do. But I'm glad I can teach my people today that why it is really important when you sit down, how you help people, because they have not read all this. It's you who know all this. It's your duty to make it simplify for them to understand, simplify to multiply. Okay, any question guys so far? All good? Okay, now next topic, it talks about what are some of the financial risk that threatens individual and their families goals. We just talk about some of the goals. Now we're going to talk about some risk that threatens families not to achieve these goals. Let's talk about those threats. So number one threat is unexpected expenses, right? We'll talk in detail about these things. Number one is unexpected expenses. Number two is loss of income or loss of saving. Number three is a low standard of living. Number four is inflation. These are the four major risk and threats that why families, excuse me, don't achieve their goals, financial goals. These are the four basic risks. As an advisor, this is your duty to show families that how they can take care of these threats. Sounds good? First show them how planning look like, then tell them what are the threats to their potential future. Okay, now I'm going to talk about these things in detail. So let's talk about, okay, there are two more. Wow, one of them was so new to me, it was an eye opening for me today, even I learned today. And that thing is longevity. Longevity. This is also a risk, a threat to family's future. Yes, Kiran, you want to say something? Okay, longevity
Just
and
surprised. That's it.
yeah,
Very
it was
surprised.
surprising for me too. I will tell you why it makes
Yeah.
sense. And then last one is the sixth one is debt. If you have a lot of debt on you, then this is also a threat to your financial future. Okay, so these are the six things. Now we'll talk about one by one. So guys, number one, unexpected expenses. Most of the unexpected expenses arise from what? Anybody? Unexpected expenses.
For
Mostly.
example, dental, some
Dental.
activities, yeah, some facilities are not covered, right? So there's a dental expense. Right now, like the kids get the dental expenses from the government, but adults not, and they charge you like a $2,000, $3,000 like that.
So I tell you, majority of the unexpected expenses are arising from medical bills, the cost of medical bills. If you go onto Google, you see more than 40% of bankruptcies in America is just because of medical bills. Because America people don't have health cards, you know that, right? So if you look into research, it says bankruptcy, most common cause of bankruptcy in America is, by the way, medical bills. And even in Canada, I met this unexpected expenses when I got into this country. Saad knows, my wife was 7 months pregnant. I did not have a health card because there is a that you need to stay 3 months to get a health card. But before completing 3 months, my wife went into labor because the baby sac burst, and I paid $9,600 to for the delivery of my son Aris. So I tell you, medical expenses are one of the major cost, and if you don't have insurance, you're just you that the threat is hanging on you like this. It can come any time on you. So unexpected expense mean medical bills, emergencies, those are not covered by health card or government, right? So there are so many things which is not covered by health card and government. You need to look into government website, what is that is not covered. That is why
Even with the medicines, if you don't
even
have
with the medicines,
insurance,
those are
yeah,
not covered.
medicines are so expensive here.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll give you an example. Only 22-year-old girl. She is I met her long time back, 2 years ago. She was one of our advisors' friend. So she called me. She says, I work for a warehouse and I have Manulife, drug plan with me from the employer. But I want to buy this medication. Can you find me any insurance plan that covers this? And she has a lot of weight on her. She is also a patient of polycystic ovarian syndrome, very heavy, only 22-year old. So doctor advised her a medicine that help her reduce weight, but that is very costly. It is like $1,500 a month therapy. Now, no insurance is covering that. Even the employer's insurance is not covering that. So she's coming to me whether I can find her an insurance. And I figured out a lot. I called a lot of companies, but they're saying, if she has to get that kind of insurance, it's either very expensive or not available. But it can come to you anytime, even 22-year-old. So this is unexpected expenses. Second is loss of income. Loss of income is what? When you lose a job. If you lose a job, if you are an employed person, who covers you? Employment insurance. If you are self-employed and you lose a job, technically being a self-employed, you don't have a job, right? If you're self-employed and somehow your business stop working, there's no income replacement for you. Now, second scenario is disability. If you get disabled due to some injury on your work, on your so EI will cover you for 190 days as an employee. But if you're a self-employed, there is no EI for you because you don't pay EI. Then you have to have your own disability insurance so that there is no loss of income. Similarly, if you become seriously ill and now you are recovering and doctor told you it will take 2 months, 5 months, 6 months, whatever, depending on the sort of critical illness you got. And now if you are an employee, EI will cover you for how many days? 119.
3 days.
Rule of thumb,
190.
119,
90 days.
only 119. After 119, no, then employer won't keep you on their payroll. They will fire you, right? So if you're self-employed, then you don't pay EI, you have to have your own critical illness then. So loss of income means if you get injured and you lose your income, but bill stays, mortgage stays, expenses stays, everything stays, but income stops. Similarly for critical illness, loss of income is a big threat to people's financial future and goals. So far, so good, guys. Don't you think this chapter is very, very important? How we do our job as a financial advisor, right? Guide people. Now, the third thing is loss of saving. Loss of saving, they identify, let's say somebody has saved $50,000 in last 20 years or 15 years. Now, all of a sudden, this person never had any kind of critical illness and he got a heart attack and he's recovering 5 months. What are they going to use in those 5 months to make sure that their expenses are met? Those $50,000, right? So people will deplete their savings. And that's also a problem that it took you years to save that money, but because you ignored and you don't have these proper insurances in place, something happened and now you have to use that money from 50,000 and you deplete your savings. So loss of saving is a big threat to financial goals. It's a big threat, right? Fourth is lower standard of living. Lower standard of living means that now your savings are depleted, your income is you have a loss of income, you don't do any job because of injury or illness. Now what is happening? If you still need more money, then you might have to sell some of your assets. Maybe you need to sell your car, maybe you need to sell your phones, maybe you need to sell your laptop. Maybe if you're living in a big house, you sell it and you go into a smaller house. Maybe you move to rent. What does that mean? Your standard of living is going down. So people don't look into these things because they don't think about these things. But if you don't have these proper insurance in place, technically your standard of living can also go down because you're depleting on your savings. How long you can keep depleting your savings? There will be a point you start selling your assets, you start selling your gold, you start selling your assets, right? So that's what is going lower standard of living. Very important. Fifth one is inflation. Inflation is simply increase in price of the goods. Inflation yesterday, everybody knows about inflation, that what we were able to buy 20 years from now in $100, definitely we're not able to buy same that many goods now because inflation has gone up. So similarly, if inflation is 4, let's say 4%, and Jaya, your money is growing by 3%, who is winning, you or inflation? Inflation, right? And some of the people, their money is invested into government bonds, only paying 2%, 3%. But inflation is 4%. So that's why I tell my clients, if you're invested into government bonds, you are invested into wrong things, because you might not be even able to beat the inflation down the road. Sounds good? So inflation is a big threat to families' potential financial goals and dreams. It's a big threat. You need to take care of that. Now the next one. Next one is longevity, right? Which is surprising for me. Now I will first of all help you understand what longevity means is. Every government, by the time we go up, researches are coming, pharmaceutical companies are coming up with more researches. Now we're able to manage diabetes better, able to manage other problems better. So if I give you stats Canada, in 1920 and 1920 till 1922, Canadian men who had lived to age 65 could expect to live 13 more years. That means at that time average age was 78. But with the equipments going better, research is going better, hygiene going better, health care going better, now the life expectancy has increased for Canadians. You know what is the new life expectancy right now? For females 84, for males 81. Back in the days it was not that. So this is what they call longevity risk. They say, if you were, look, they said retirement age is still the same, 65. But before, people were expected to live 13 more years after retirement. So they only need to fund their retirement for how many years? 13. So that means smaller money needed. Now they're living after the retirement, maybe female 19 more years, male 17 more years. Now they need more money to fund those years. That is a longevity risk to Canadians. Even more important that you have enough retirement income saved for you, so that even if you live long in this country, you have enough funds to fund your retirement. Otherwise, you have to be dependent on your kids or jobs or I don't know what. So this is a longevity risk. Sounds good? किरण क्लियर हुआ? लॉन्जेविटी रिस्क जो मैं बात कर रहा था वो किस तरह से मेरी भी आंखें खुल गई आज इसको पढ़ के कि
Just
मैंने
very surprising, just very surprised today that even life itself can be, that's also a risk, right? Yeah, but
भाई,
yeah, fair.
मैं सभी लोगों से कहता हूँ, आफ्टर अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिस, आप मुझे बताओ क्या लोग रिटायरमेंट को कैजुअल नहीं ले रहे इस कंट्री में? बिल्कुल ही कैजुअल ले रहे हैं। उन्होंने तो ये चीजें देखी भी नहीं है, वो तो ये सोच ही नहीं रहे कि दैट कुड ऑल्सो बी एन इम्पैक्ट टू देयर रिटायरमेंट। दैट इज वाई पीपल, यू सी देम वर्किंग आफ्टर रिटायरमेंट, दे वोंट टेल यू ऑन योर फेस व्हाई आर दे वर्किंग, बट दीज आर द थिंग्स व्हाई पीपल आर वर्किंग आफ्टर द एज 65 इन दिस कंट्री, because they don't have enough money. Technically that's the only reason, right? Okay, so the last one is debt. Okay, debt again is a counterpart. One side we're trying to save money, and the other side, debt is reducing our savings. Not just reducing, debt also has one more component. Anybody can tell me what is that component? Nobody gives you money for free. They gives you money for a cost of borrowing. What do we call cost of borrowing? Interest, right? Debt comes with one another disease, that is interest. So it's not that you're only paying debt back, but you need to pay what else back? Interest. So debt is a big threat to families' financial goals. You should ideally be paying no. If you have a debt, make sure your debt is the minimum interest. In this page, or they talk about that worst kind of debt is credit card. That's the worst kind of debt. Why? Because credit card debt is 18% to 24% if you fail on making your payments. Line of credit is the second worst debt. It's 11 to 12%, right? Then comes the car debt, or mortgage debt, and the least then it comes on to any other kind of debt. But credit card debt is actually killing Canadians. 1.4 trillion debt is in mortgage in Canada. 1.4 trillion dollar people have debt because of the mortgages, and 630 billion debt people have in credit cards. I'm telling you the figure from 2017. It's not the updated one. Book says 2017. 630 billion dollars are in debt due to credit cards. And I take privilege when I educate people on debt management. It's a big topic. Sometime I help people to reduce their debt. They're paying too much debt in credit cards, and I consolidate it, maybe try to get them a line of credit, bring them down from 18 to 11, 11 to 7, try to increase their saving through debt management strategies. That is also a role, right? Do you think if you don't reduce debt for people, they will ever be able to grow financially? No, never. Sometimes people are only paying interest payment. Principal is not even paid. That is as is standing over there. So debt is a big threat to any family's financial future. So far as these 6 threats, all clear. Now, when you sit down with any family you want to educate, do you bring this to attention to them? Do you educate them? Can you educate them well, right? And similarly, if in this chapter they give you stories and they talk about scenarios, you need to think about all these things. How and what solution to provide to your clients. Sounds good? If you go like this, fundamentals are good, exam is not a problem at all. So next, let's come on to needs met by accident and sickness insurance. Now we're coming on to the importance of this module. What are the needs met by accidental and sickness insurance for individuals? I'm talking about individuals right now, not the businesses. So number one, and ANS insurance. You know, what are the types of ANS insurance? Can somebody tell me? I started my lecture with this. Can anybody tell me what are the types? 5 types?
It's Asad, it's the first one is critical illness, then it's
Okay.
extended health care, and then long-term care, then accidental death and dismemberment, and then disability insurance.
Perfect, perfect. These are the 5 accidental and accidental and sickness insurances. The best part is all of these have beneficiaries, but the another part is who is the beneficiary? The beneficiary is the policy owner in this kind of plan, right? Because this is a living, all these 5, even if I have an extended health care insurance, if I am the owner, I am also the beneficiary. But if I'm dead, then my other beneficiary will come into picture. If I'm alive, policy owner actually is the beneficiary in these plans. Sounds good? It's a different kind of plan than life insurances. But if I die during that, then my beneficiary will get something. Okay. So now, what are the needs met by these 5? Number 1, income, loss of income. Remember, we just saw the threat, loss of income, loss of saving, losing on the assets. Why people go low standard of living, they need to sell their assets to fund their retirement or their long-term things. So these are some of the needs taken care by accidental and sickness insurances. Which one? Loss of income, loss of savings, right? Protection of assets, debt is something else, other things are something else, but these 3 are mainly the things that this type of accidental sickness insurance take care. Let's talk each one of them. Protection of income. Who can tell me what kind of accidental sickness insurance is able to protect or take care of the income? Anybody? Jaya?
Disability?
Are you sure, or are you just not sure?
No, I'm saying disability.
Disability is good one. Saad, you want to add something? What else?
Income.
Protection of income. Which accidental sickness insurance is able to take care of protection of income? Jaya said one is disability. True.
Yeah,
Critical illness.
disability.
Critical illness. These are the
Critical
2.
illness.
These are the 2. So among all these are the 2 that is able to take care of protection of income. Look, protection of income, loss of income is arising either from injury or from critical illness. Loss of income is arising either from injury or from illness. Injury is the one that protects injury is disability insurance. The one that protect health is critical illness insurance, right? So these 2 types are actually saving people loss of income. Sounds good? Any question about that? I'm going to read an example and then you will get an idea. So in disability insurance, if you have a disability insurance on you, Jaya, you know what happens? Let's say you make certain annual salary, but you have yourself a disability insurance. So 60% to 65% of your annual salary is protected for you now. Let's say you get injured, doctors give you a note, So 60% of your annual income will be payable to you during the recovery period. Technically, in these kind of disability insurances, there is always a waiting period. You have to choose a waiting period, that when do you want to start the benefit. The longer the waiting period, the cheaper is the plan, because you're waiting long time to kickstart the payments. The longer the waiting period, the cheaper is the plan. The shorter the waiting period, the expensive is the plan. Sounds good? Okay, so this is waiting period. Also in disability, there's another feature, which is, okay, if I want to receive 60% of benefits, but for how long I want to keep receiving that benefit. Let's say I get injured for long, I have a long-term disability. I'm not able to go back to my work, it's been 4 years. Now, second important feature you need to choose as a topping on this pizza is how long you want these benefits. You have an option of 2 years. You have an option of 5 years. You have an option until age 65. So let's say if you go with an option of age 65, plan would be expensive or cheaper? If you choose a benefit period on your disability payment plan till age 65, would that be more expensive? Or if you choose a plan with just 2-year payment period, that would be more expensive?
65.
65.
65, because
Yeah.
let's say you are 35 now, you need payment for 30 years. So that would be expensive. If you only want for 2 years, that is cheaper, right? So that's how it is. Now I'm going to give you an example. Listen to this example carefully and you will find out that how these all things are coming into picture in disability plan. So Ronnie is an independent contractor working in the plumbing trade, earning $80,000 a year. In order to financially protect his family, in the event he becomes disabled and unable to work, he has taken out a disability income replacement insurance policy. The policy has a 90 days waiting period. How many days? 90 days waiting period, and a monthly benefit of $4,200 for 5-year benefit period, right? It defines everything. So if Rondi was to be injured and unable to work, after waiting for 3 months, after waiting, the policy will begin to pay Ronnie $4,200 a month for next 5 years. Sound good how these things come into picture by looking at this example? Any question? All good?
Asad, could you just repeat when you're telling the longer the waiting period, then it is
Yes.
more expensive, right? Then it's more expensive to take the policy.
So let's say किरण simply अगर मैं आपसे कहता हूँ कि आपने एक डिसेबिलिटी इंश्योरेंस प्लान लेना है, राइट? मैं आपसे कहता हूँ किरण, आप पेमेंट पहले दिन से स्टार्ट करवाना चाहती हो इन केस आप डिसेबल हो जाओ, या आप 100 दिन वेट कर सकती हो? अगर आपको मैं 100 दिन वेट कर सकती हूँ तो वो प्लान चीपर होगा, क्योंकि आपका वेटिंग पीरियड 100 दिन का है। अगर आप कहती हो नहीं नहीं ऐसा मेरे पास तो कोई इमरजेंसी फंड ही सेव नहीं है, तो जिन लोगों के पास इमरजेंसी फंड सेव नहीं ना होता, उनको मैं कहता हूँ 0 डे पे जाओ, क्योंकि आपके पास तो टेक्निकली इमरजेंसी फंड ही नहीं है 3 महीनों का। तो आप तो बेनिफिट पीरियड 0 डे का चूज करो, क्योंकि आपको तो पेमेंट राइट अवे चाहिए। अब अगर 0 डे का बेनिफिट पीरियड होगा तो किरण जी फिर तो प्रीमियम थोड़ा सा हाई होगा ना, क्योंकि हमें राइट अवे चाहिए। So that is what I was saying. Longer the waiting period, cheaper the plan. Shorter the waiting period, expensive is the plan. But अगर किसी फैमिली को आप एडवाइस कर रहे हो और आपने उनसे पूछा है कि उनके पास कोई इमरजेंसी फंड ही नहीं है, बीइंग एन एडवाइजर कौन सा वेटिंग पीरियड एडवाइस करोगे?
0.
0. इट डजंट रियली मैटर, उनके पास फंड्स ही नहीं है, उनको 0 डे वेटिंग पीरियड पे जाना है, क्योंकि उनको पता नहीं इमरजेंसी फंड इकट्ठा करते हुए कितना टाइम लग जाएगा, राइट? सो दैट्स हाउ इफ समबडी टेल्स हाँ सर मेरे पास 4-5 महीनों के एक्सपेंसेस रेडी पड़े हैं, देन विच वन वुड आई सजेस्ट रिकमेंड? Maybe 90 days,
90 days.
maybe 120 days, right? Whatever it is. Okay, Kiran. So guys, any question about this so far? Disability is clear. All right. Now, next one we will go is, so we did first one, protection of income. We talked about 2 plans. One was disability, one was critical illness. Let's talk about a little bit of a critical illness. So critical illness plan is also a sort of plan that protects you for maximum of 25 illnesses in Canada and minimum of 4 illnesses. If you go with a 4 illness plan, would that be cheaper? Or if you go for a 25 illness plan, would that be cheaper?
4 is cheaper.
4 is cheaper. In 4, you're only getting protection against heart attack, cancer, coronary bypass, and stroke. These are the 4 diseases covered in 4 illness plan. But the diseases covered in 25 illness plan, I can't remember all of these. But each company offer different set of 25. That is also one thing. कभी कभी ऐसा भी हो जाता है, if you give, blindly, if advisor don't even know, if our company is not offering a protection against certain disease, and let's say the person who you are protecting, they have a family history of that particular disease, and you're offering them 25 illness, they're paying that high premium, but you're offering them from a company that don't even cover their family history. Whose fault is that? Advisor fault. You need to make sure that when you recommend a plan 25 illness, you see, go through the illnesses and you ask question, hey, among all this, these are the 3 companies offering these 25 different set. You have a look at them and tell me what's in your family history. Sometimes it happens that you protect somebody with 25 illness plan and they tend to get a problem, and now that is not even covered in the plan, so it won't be paid. Sounds good? So this is critical illness. You can protect against 4 or 25. 25 is expensive, 4 is cheaper. Another thing that you need to know, in disability, there is a waiting period that you can choose: 0, 60, 30, 90, 120. Similarly, in critical illness, there is also a waiting period, but that waiting period is always fixed. Write down, which is 30 days. What does that mean? Once you are diagnosed with this critical illness, you need to be alive how many days? 30 days to kickstart the benefit. But let's say if you die before that 30 days, what happens then?
Nothing is covered.
Nothing. Zero.
No, industry is not that. They are very fair.
No,
If-
they
if-
can give it to beneficiary then.
Yes, so if you die before 30 days, whatever premiums you paid into that plan so far, that will be paid back to the beneficiary, not the face amount.
Mhm. Yeah, I think you have to have a rider on that for payback
Yes.
premium, right?
Yes, so Kiran, when we're gonna go deep down one by one on critical illness, then we'll talk about riders. You can have return of premium and all those riders too. That's absolutely fantastic. You're adding on to that. But I'm telling you, as a general rule of thumb, all critical illness plan has a 30-day waiting period. If somebody after diagnosis, let's say 80% of the stroke people survive. So yeah, they survive over 30 days. If somebody survive over 30 days, they get the lump sum money paid. But if somebody is not able to survive 30 days, then whatever the premium the person has paid, it will be given as is tax free to the beneficiary. Sounds good? Not the face value, all the premium only. If somebody survived 30 days, then all the promised benefit will be paid to that living person who survived. Sounds good? And if after 30 days, let's say 35th day, the person dies, then what happens?
Beneficiary got everything, not only premium.
Okay, so let's say 30 days are now done. 31st day, the policy was $100,000. 31st day, company will pay $100,000 to that person, right? Who's a survivor. He will get $100,000 and policy is null and void. Now, if he dies on the 4 days after, there's no premium going back to the beneficiary. He died. Actually, the policy was null and void on 31st day when the premium were when the benefits were paid. Sounds good? वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कॉन्सेप्ट है. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि वो 1 लाख भी मिल गया और 5वें दिन वो मर गया तो अब प्रीमियम भी वापस मिल रहा है. नो नो, पॉलिसी नल एंड वॉइड हो गई, वहीं पे खत्म हो गई. द मोमेंट इट गॉट पेड ऑफ, the benefit got paid to survivor, policy is null and void. No more premiums will be going back to the beneficiary even if the person dies now. Sounds good? Okay, so that is about protection from loss of income. What are the 2 plans? Disability, critical illness. आप ही मुझे बताओ कि हम सभी लोग कनाडा में रहते हैं. Don't you think each one of us should have these 2 plans? And how many have it? You don't even have an idea. When you go sit down with somebody after that, you will have an idea. how people badly fail in their planning, and then they complain that, okay, it's a difficult country, we have to live paycheck to paycheck. But at the same time, we ignored a lot of time financial education. That is very important. All right. Next thing that accidental sickness covers is protection of saving. Can you tell me which type of accidental sickness plan protect your savings? We are already done with disability and critical illness. They protect your loss of income. Which plan protect your savings? And that is known as extended health care insurance. I give you the best example of extended healthcare insurance. It's the super visa and travel insurance. They come under this category. Okay. Let's say Saad has to go to USA, Las Vegas to attend the convention of World Financial Group in Las Vegas for 1 week. Saad wants to go there, but Saad ignores buying a travel insurance, which is maybe $20 only. Let's say he ignores that. And now he's into Las Vegas. Suddenly, there is a viral breakout in Las Vegas. Saad got sick. Saad's health card only covers him in Canada, not in US. Right? Now Saad visit a US hospital and they say, hey, you need to be admitted and your overnight expenses 5,000 US dollar a month. Guess what? Saad will be bankrupt because now the savings will be gone and Saad cannot even walk. So extended healthcare insurance like travel insurance and super visa actually protect your savings. Let's say they say tell Saad go for this MRI, go for this X-ray, but Saad is outside Canada. He does not have any protection. So his medical expenses, labs will cost him or might cause him a bankruptcy. So that is why extended healthcare insurance like travel insurance and super visa insurance are really, really important to have. Even if you go outside country, never go without them because your health card, the moment you leave the country, is all gone. Sounds good? So what is the type of insurance that covers, that protects your savings? Extended health care.
Extended health.
And what is the one common example of extended health care
Travel
insurance?
insurance and super
And
visa
super
insurance.
visa.
Sounds good, absolutely. Now, the third type of protection that accidental sickness insurance can do is protecting your assets, right? Now, can anybody tell me which kind of accidental sickness insurance can protect your asset?
Accidental and sickness, like अगर आपको गाड़ी को accident हो जाता है.
No, which I gave you 5 type of accidental sickness plan in the beginning. We have
Yeah.
already covered disability and critical illness protect your income loss. I told you extended healthcare protect your saving loss.
Saving.
Now tell me which one can protect your asset loss. What are the two remaining? Can you tell me?
Long-term healthcare and accidental death and
Dismemberment. So
Yeah.
long-term care protect your assets. And that must be surprising. I'll give you an example right now. Who has higher chances of getting sick? A person who is age 20, a person who is age 40, a person who is age 60, or a person who is age 70? Who has higher chances of getting sick?
age 70.
70.
Right? So we know that the older we are, the easier it is to get sick. And the healthcare cost, which is not covered by health card or drugs, are more expensive. And when you get sick too easily, you have more expenses. So long-term care is ideally an insurance that protects the old age people or retiree. If you go into the long-term care after retirement, kids are not even living with parents in this country. So parents have to go to a long-term clinic. Sometimes the cost of those long-term care clinic is $5,000 a month, $8,000 a month. Very expensive because they give you private nurse. They take care of your thing. Your kids are not taking care. So long-term care cost is the most expensive cost in this country. Or those nursing homes. Now, if somebody has $1 million saved up or is also receiving pension, but all source of income every month makes him $6,000, but his long-term care expenses $8,000, guess what? This person will be bankrupt very soon after a few years. Even though he has a lot of saving, he has 6,000 coming monthly as retirement, but because he can get sick and his family is not taking care, he has to go to long-term care. So in this scenario, he might have to sell his house, might have to sell his fields, might have to sell his car. So when you start selling gold, car, home, this is known as loss of assets. True? So which insurance protect your assets? It's actually long-term care insurance. Why? Because in old age, we tend to get sick easier. Therapy cost is very high. Kids are not living with the parents. Now they have to go to private nursing or they have to go to long-term care. They might lose mobility. They might not able to take care of their regular daily functions. They need help. It's very expensive. So if they cannot pay the payment, then they sell their homes, then they sell their cars. So assets are gone. Guess what? If this happens, would they leave any inheritance for their kids? So inheritance is also gone. Each one of these insurances in accidental sickness is very, very important, right? So these are the three ones. Guys, any question about this? I hope I'm doing my best that you understand this chapter foundation well, so that everything else becomes easier for you to answer. This is also one of the most difficult module of this course, right? But the way I'm going about it, fundamentals, you should not have any problem. Sounds good? Any questions so far? All right. Now we're going to turn our attention to businesses. So individuals are done. Accidental care that I told you is done. Now we're going to turn our attention to businesses. Well, in this country, first we discuss about the families and individual financial goals. Similarly, business also have financial goals, right? They want to do well. And similarly, in businesses, they also need to protect their income. What is an income for business? Their profits that they're making every month, that is their income. But if there's some threat to their profits, then they also need to protect their income. We'll talk about it in detail. But number one thing businesses have threat is loss of income because of loss of their profitability. Second, business succession is also a threat. What does succession mean? Succession mean who will own the business after you? Who will help you in the business after you? Who this business is going to go after you? That is known as business succession. That is also a threat to business owners. They have one mind thinking about that. And the third one is selling their business at a fair market value, not on a loss. Selling of their business at a fair market value. These are the three things businesses owner are most worried about. Now let's look into each one of these in detail. Any question?
इसको थोड़ा सा इसको थोड़ा सा एक दफा और एक्सप्लेन कर दो क्योंकि
मैं
मिस
अभी
हो रहा है।
इंडिविजुअली मैं इनको एक्सप्लेन करने जा रहा हूँ तो बेटर एक्सप्लेन
नहीं
हो जाएगा।
सक्सेशन, हाँ नहीं सक्सेशन मुझे समझ में आ गया मगर जो उससे पहला वाला पॉइंट था ना इट्स नॉट
Business
क्लियर।
profitability.
हाँ
You did not get the business profitability part?
हाँ
Let's say you run a clothing business and every month your business produces you a profit of $10,000, right? Now, if suddenly this $10,000 goes down to $2,000, would there be a loss of profit?
यस
How can this happen? If you are the sole owner of that business, you were selling clothes, you get sick in last 1 month, you were not able to sell that many clothes, so that's why your profit came down. Sounds good? So businesses also have the same kind of income loss, but in business we call this a profit loss. For individual who are working for salary, we call it an income loss. Sounds good? One and the same thing. Okay. Now let's talk about, so profitability, I clear. This is actually profitability loss. In that kind of circumstances, you need to make sure if your business is run mainly by you, then you need to protect yourself from disability and critical illness. Because if Mehreen is doing everything, and if Mehreen gets sick, then who will do? And if nobody will do, then the profit will go down. But if there are expenses, then Mehreen have to close the business after 4 or 5 months. She's not, if the expenses are 5,000, her profit goes to 2,000. Now she's at a loss. Maybe 2-3 months after she will close the business, right? So that's why it's important being a business owner to protect yourself if that your business is only dependent on you. Now, second thing is, Kiran, are you clear? Okay. Second thing is business succession. A lot of business owner ignore this part, but I tell you, very, very important. If you meet somebody who runs a business or self-employed, show them this, ask them this question. Hey, who in your family you feel like you're training in your business, who can take care of your business if you get injured or you get sick. Are you training your kids, daughters, son, brother, sister, cousins? Do you have any successor ready in case if something happened to you, they can run your business? Majority of the time they will say no, and that is a problem, which is business succession. If that happens, of course income will go down. So many businesses owner hope to pass their business down to their children. This is often not possible due to poor planning. They never involve their children in their work, right? Their children don't even know how to do that business, and now if they get disabled, if they get sick, the business start losing profitability. Sounds good? This is known as business succession. Training somebody who can do it for you. If you haven't trained, then you have to have insurances in place, otherwise it's gone, right? Now the third thing is selling the business at a fair market value. Again, very, very important thing. This also happens. Let's say my wife runs a truck, or I run a trucking business. I give you an example that is more common in Brampton. People, they open up a trucking company, they put 4 or 5 trucks, and now the husband is running that company. Wife has no clue how to get the freight, who to contact. Wife has no idea of husband business. How many times you have seen that wives have no clue what business husband is doing? Now suddenly husband dies, the business gets transferred to wife, but wife don't have any idea how to run that business. Then what wife is going to do? Try to sell it. She will try to sell it to somebody because she cannot run it. So once she try to sell it in desperation, do you think she will get the fair market value of the business or a low ball offer? A low ball offer. That's what the problem is. When your spouses, your kids don't have a clue about your business, and suddenly he dies, then you cannot run it, you want to sell it. But once you want to sell it desperately, people sense it. They don't want to give you the fair market price of your business. They want to do a low offer. And unfortunately, you have to accept that offer because you don't know there is fixed cost happening with that business. So in this regard, proper insurance, if you have for that business, that is the way to make sure that you are able to sell the business in a proper way. And we call this as buy sell agreement insurance. If there are two partners in the company, one is Kiran, one is Mehreen, both are 50% owner of the business. Now Mehreen has 50% shares in the business, Kiran has 50% share in the business. Suddenly Mehreen dies. Now half of 50% of Mehreen's share goes to Mehreen's kids, but they don't know how to run this business. Do you think Kiran will take care of the whole business by herself and still get only 50% profit? She will not do that. So she wants that Mehreen sell your business, right? But because Mehreen kids don't know how to run the business, Kiran will say, hey, I'm only willing to offer you this much of money. Unfortunately, Mehreen's kids have to accept that offer. But had there been a buy-sell agreement in place that says, okay, from corporation, Kiran and Mehreen will buy a crisscross insurance on each other. Mehreen will pay for Kiran. Kiran will pay for Mehreen. Now, if somebody dies, insurance company pay lump sum amount of money. That money will be paid to Mehreen's family tax free, and Kiran will buy all 100% share. This is a way to do whenever there is a partnership in a business in Canada. Always go with buy sell agreement. Otherwise, you will have problem selling your business with a low ball offer. Very important concept. I try to do my best. Guys, are you clear with this?
So it's always like the crisscross.
Always like the crisscross if no
Okay.
two partners. If
Two
no two
partners.
partners, only sole proprietor, then buy it from corporation. Corporation is the payee, you are the life insured, and your family is the beneficiaries. All right?
Okay.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. If you buy yourself, then you buy it on your life. If two partners, always crisscross. Okay, on each other. You don't have to pay, none of them have to pay from their pocket. They're paying from the corporation profits. Okay, sounds good. So this is for the businesses I talk about. Uh, Now, sometimes people also have business overhead expenses. What is overhead expenses? Like running cost of the business. maybe you have dispatchers involved, maybe you're renting a warehouse where you're paying fixed costs every month, maybe some other fixed costs, you have some employees, they are coming, you need to pay them the salaries, right? So this is known as BOE, business overhead expenses. So what happens, few business owner, when they don't have a disability and critical illness insurance, that means they are retaining the risk on themselves. Let's say if I am that business owner, I never bought into these insurances, and now something happened to me. Where do you think I need to fund that business overhead expenses? Self-funding from my own bank account, from my own company's monthly profit. And this sometime is too much that I might have to close my business. This is known as self-funding. On the other hand, why insurance is helpful? Because in insurance, you transfer the risk to insurance company for small amount of premium that you are paying from your corporation. You are paying from your corporation that small amount of monthly premium, but you actually transferred the risk to whom? Insurance company. Now, if something happens, the business overhead expense will be paid from where? Insurance company. So even if you are recovering, your employees' salaries are being paid on time, overhead expenses are taken care, you don't have to close your business is running as is because you protected it with a proper insurance, right? Another important concept is also key person insurance. This is very important concept as well. So this is normally with small businesses or small self-employed people. Ideal example is restaurant. Why people go to restaurant? Because of their taste. Why is there taste in restaurant? Because of their chef, right? But if chef gets sick, now the chef is not coming, and if Saad is only coming to your restaurant to try one particular kind of soup that Chef Asad prepares, but Chef Asad is not here, Saad is gonna file a complaint. You will lose a client. So in this circumstance, if your business has a key person, that person is responsible for majority of your business, companies protect through key person insurance, so that if that key person get disabled, the company from their own corporation profit buy an insurance on that key person, right? So if that person is disabled or critically ill, the employer get benefit from insurance company. So utilizing that benefit, he can hire a new chef on a temporary reason, because whenever you try to hire somebody on a temporary reason, you need to pay higher money. Where the money will come from? The benefit insurance company will pay you, and then you pay to that new chef or to that new person, so that until Asad recovers, things are well taken care of. But if you don't have a key person insurance, unfortunately, you're going to lose a lot of customers. So this is known as key person insurance. Businesses need that. So for business, we talk about what? Key person insurance. In partnership, buy sell agreement, crisscross insurance, right? We talk about in businesses, do not retain the risk on yourself. Buy your own proper disability and critical illness insurances. And this and business have risk of business profitability, that means loss of income, business can start losing profit, business succession is a problem, is a threat, and selling the business at a fair market value is a risk if you haven't planned accordingly. Well, this concludes us and bring us to the end of chapter number 1, which I believe is the fundamental chapter of understanding why accidental and sickness insurances are really important and play a massive role. I hope you guys are able to take most value out of this session. This will just not help you pass your license, but will help you become the advisor of your dream. I always keep using some of the terms: become a person of your dream, become an advisor of your dream. How would you do it? If you do your work fine, right? So I hope that you listen to this video more times, clarify before I come back with chapter 2 tomorrow. And tomorrow I might have to start the class a little bit later, maybe 8:30, because I'm taking my kids to watch a movie 6 o'clock in cinema, and then I'll be back from there. So either I will postpone, which I'm not a fan, because in this year I promised myself I will never procrastinate in my whole life. That's my promise this year. So I will still be doing class. It might be 8:30. Okay. When I'm done with the movie, I'll come back to the office and we'll be on chapter 2. Sounds good? Okay. Anybody, we can go over, if you come back after 10 minutes, we can go over a chapter quiz, or if you wish to do it by yourself, you can do it by yourself as well. Up to you. If you want me to do it, we can have a look at the chapter quiz, but I need to first decode this whole session. It takes 10 minutes and then restart another one. So tell me, how do you want it?
If everyone wants test, I want test too. If everyone is want to go, then I can
Rishad,
go.
do you want me to do a quiz? We do a quiz together? Oh, you know what? Let's do a quiz. Let's see how it goes. So give yourself a break, grab a coffee. I'll see you. I'll put a message back in the group in 10 minutes once I get the transfer done. Okay. All right. Take care, guys.